I've been in Ararat for 3 years. There's an Audi. That's all I really care about. I was a year in Brisbane. 18 years in and around Melbourne. So, um, what was it? Camberwell, Burwood, Fitri Gully. So gradually moving more east of the centre. And before then, 12 years in Hobart, where I was born, and my
Oh,
parents.
so you're from Tasmania then?
I am technically a Tasmanian.
So you're not Australian.
He is an Aussie. He's just from Van Diemen's land.
So just so you know, we're
yeah,
live
yeah.
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minute ago. Welcome to Ponies of the Vineyard. This is hopefully going to be an on-running series of a campaign that should take us from all the way from terra firma down to wherever the hell this place is called. Then up to here, through here, just do a 3 circles, loop-de-loop here, and then eventually just go everywhere. Ponies of the Vineyard is filmed in front of a live studio audience in Universal Studios, Florida.
Congrats.
Well, now that we've got that cringe out of the way, why don't everyone get on to Roll20 and we can start this up proper?
Well,
Which is you, Spear.
Massive icons of everyone's things filling above all the names, filling my screen, and I don't know how to get rid of that.
That would be a...
So, wait, do we launch the game?
Yep, launch game.
Space.
So yeah, that's a good place to start, with figuring out how to get the giant portraits of everyone down the bottom off of down the bottom. So that is up in the top right corner, there's a cog, which is the settings. Should go to that, and I have the DM version of it, but you will have the less tons and tons of settings version that should have player video avatar size. I've got it set down to name only, and while you're at it, you should probably find the I want to broadcast and set that to nothing. Same with I want to receive nothing, because we're using Discord.
So, as Roll20.net wants to use the microphone and camera, do I just block that or do I allow that?
Yeah, we're using Discord, so just block that.
Rightio.
And Mr. Bison, do you care for us to introduce ourselves?
I mean, I don't really care that much, but you can if you want.
I ain't my character yet. I haven't had time.
Wait, Lucky Night. Holy fuck. You're one of the briny, Australian brinies reacts. Fuck.
Yes, another time, another place. Yes.
What happened to that?
What? Oh, why did I leave? Oh my gosh.
No. What happened to the entire thing? Because it seems like it's all just
I'm just going to
crashed.
pop the beer here. And this is going to go for a while.
Isn't it still going?
Not last I saw, eh?
Oh, it might have to do with the fact that Lycan from Lycan These Beats and David Parker, aka the Armored Brony, have been touring the United States in the last few months.
Oh,
Or
okay.
last month or so. Attending all the Brony conventions. So the fandom, yay. But yeah, before then, or even during then, I was had a podcast event that I ran for about 4 years. It's not dead, but it's technically not alive anymore because it was the way I did it was a lot of work, and generally, I learned what a brony was, and I believe
That scared him off.
So yeah, I mean that podcast initially started as a way for me to find out if I was a brony or what a brony was, and I guess once I answered that question and interviewed some of the people I wanted to interview, I thought, But I'm aiming to kickstart a new project or the process of kickstarting one called the Brony House, which is a brony game show. So something a little bit fresh, and we have recorded an episode, but I just haven't got around to editing it. And if you guys wonder, when I was turned into a Brody, April of 2012 is when I was born into the fandom. So
I want to say
Um,
I was the same time because I remember the first episodes I had to wait for were the season 2 finale.
mm, mm, it was good to binge all the episodes up to the point. So a long story short for this lucky knight, who in turn will become a character in this game. Thank you.
Awesome. You right there, Bison?
Yep, just typing away. Expect to hear a lot of while I'm pulling up random things that you've just curveball thrown at me and I need to react to. Oh, I might have just crashed my computer typing everything on the keyboard at once on nothing.
How did you... Never mind. Wait, what operating system are you using?
How do I import pictures?
I believe this is Windows 98.
The best operating system ever released by Microsoft.
Yep.
If you want to be more specific, Windows 98 SE, the special edition, pretty much bug-free everything. Microsoft, give me some money. Yeah, it's a beautiful version of Windows.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers Windows XP, when it came out, it had a massive hole that was hacked quite easily, forcing a shutdown command every time you loaded Windows up. So a nice way for XP to be released. Yeah.
Well, XP was pretty good.
Once they fixed it. And
I have to give you points on that, yes.
and I believe it was 3 service packs later it was finished. And for those playing at home, you're thinking, what's a service pack? I've got Windows 10 doing it. Well, there was these things you had to download and install, and they were large. So
I remember it.
The times. And at the moment, my favorite Windows operating system has to be Windows 7. Microsoft didn't push me to install Windows 10 because my system didn't qualify for the minimum system requirements. Even though she's technically still a beast of her heyday.
I think Windows XP was a lot better.
Yeah, my PC is a just absolute beast when I bought it. Unfortunately, 2 weeks have passed and now it's worthless. It's just completely out of date now. Might as well get a new one.
Fill out my character sheet. I haven't had time to read any of the stuff you sent.
Don't worry, we'll go over character creation for everyone. And Spear, I believe you are new to Roll20, right?
I am, and I kind of just went with Ironheart for horse name. Why not?
Well,
Name is
up in
Fernando.
the top right, where settings was, just before that, one of the options is journal, and in that there should be a character sheet for you.
Journal, what?
Oh.
This is the settings
alright.
option. Mine is empty because I have got no character.
Yeah.
Edit that and put myself.
Oh, what the fuck happened there?
That might have been from me pressing save changes while looking at it.
Right, yeah, that actually makes a bit of sense, yes.
And for those who haven't discovered, we do swear in this stream, so language warning, a little bit late, but hey.
No, anyone who's subscribed to my channel already knows that.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And
if they're not, well, they shouldn't be subscribed. Don't unsubscribe. I want to hit that 10k by the end of the year. So close! Then again, if I was watching this stream, I'd probably unsubscribe too at this rate.
Wow. Let me have a look, see.
I mean, it's a screen with talking over it.
Blank
It's
screen.
more interesting by zooming in on bits of the map.
You can see the entirety of the map if you put it to 50% magnification. And while we're at it, why don't we have a look at the entire world map?
I did that.
And it's only a question. It's only a coincidence that somehow some of it looks like Russia.
Yes. Pure
Mother
coincidence.
Russia.
Oh, not the Wild West. We're just mild.
Yep. You are in the mild west, and as you can see, Equestria is to the east. And yet, on the original map, Equestria was to the south. That is because on the first map, up is west, and right is north, because, well, let's just say the Book of Life is a weird book.
Aim to end up in Taran Roland.
And that little, just that little
Christopher
nub
Pine.
right here, that
Yeah.
is, like, right on the end of that is Appaloosa. And you have kind of just broken off into the mild west. That's where the setting is set.
Mild Wild West.
Right.
Mild Wild West.
Yeah, where
Can't be
exactly
wild
are
if
we?
mild.
Okay, so right is north, up is west,
Yep.
down is east.
As determined by this compass right here.
Ah, clever.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Okay.
north is this way. That's Equestria right
Right.
there.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right.
So that's what?
That's
North
Appaloosa
west.
over here, and this is just kind of
Mhm.
the border town of all three regions.
That's the border town?
Yep.
That's a major city.
I mean, it's a major city to the border.
I
mean,
guess
not-
it doesn't have to be a major city.
Exactly.
Especially if it's water.
And we're not, and it's not in any way relation to a border town or the border of South Australia, Victoria.
I mean, Borderton.
Borderton? Oh. Hmm.
The question is, here we go.
Man, we have a lot of places to explore.
Yep.
So anyway, why don't we start off with a brief rundown of how this system works.
Beautiful.
And before we do that, we should probably do a brief rundown of how Roll20 works. For both the new person and anyone watching the stream. That is, Roll20 is basically, it's a tabletop simulator program, although it's a website. Where you, in this chat bar, you can type commands like /roll d20 and it will roll a 20-sided dice and give you the result here. You can also add commands such as +3, which, yep, +3. Totally a 3 there. Or other dice such as 5d6s. And it will just generate results such as that. The command is /roll space, the number of dice, D, and then the dice size. Which basically, right above the dice there's the rolling 5d6. You basically just copy that and put a slash in front of it.
Right.
Why don't
But
you
there
give
is
that a
another
try?
way.
There is
There
another way. Up
Mm.
in the top right, you'll see just a bar. I don't know what that bar is called, but it has the mouse, the paintbrush, the magnifier, the ruler, and then the dice rolling option right at the bottom, above the question mark.
I
You
call
can-
it a toolbar.
That would be something you call it. You tool. That was a horribly forced joke, but I regret everything from it. Anyway, you can open that, and then it just has buttons that you can click for all of the main dice sizes, except for D100 for some reason. And below that, in advanced roll, you can then just roll the number of dice. Roll for, then select a D. Oh, that one has D100, that's good. And then put a plus modifier on it. This time, it's +3, but let's make it 4 for good measure.
Right. Okay.
There's just a ton more options after that, but that's really the basics of it. Why don't you try rolling something just to see if you've got a roll of it. Roll me 1d8 +2.
1d8 2, eh?
You can do that by typing /roll space 1d8 +2, or you can do it in the advanced.
You mean like that?
Nope, that rolled a d82. You have to put a space between them. I mean, not a space, a plus between them.
Right.
If you use a dice roller, it's a lot more simple.
Yeah, it was a 8-2, right? DAT?
8 plus 2.
8 plus 2. Right.
Dun, 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 dun. Yep, and that's how it does it. So you've got your result of 3 plus 2, and it automatically gives you the result below that.
Awesome.
Now,
You should pick a different color.
that was going to be like the 5th thing, but yeah, you should do that. We are going to be using specific colors in this. We need them to be decently different because of a reason that we'll show you in the system rather than the just how the system of the game rather than the system of the thing we're using to play the game. I am red as the devil himself, and basically I just need you all to be a reasonably different shade from each other. You can do that by going down to the bottom where your name is and just click it to change the color. It'll give you a palette swap and you can change to whatever. Naturally, the devil himself has to be red.
Well, of course. He is.
And clearly you've, unless that's just your default name on the website, but you can change your display name up in settings by going to that and yeah,
Why do you think it's
display
Ironheart?
name. I don't know, that's what I said. It could have just been your default name on Roll20. Like Lucky
Nah.
Knight, for example.
Yeah.
That's how I put it. I changed it.
Yep, that's all good. So the setting of this game is, well, basically I'll describe it as you are part cowboys, part paladins, and part Judge Dredd. It is your job to go town to town and not enforce, but just kind of make sure that everyone's living morally and upright and all that stuff by the Book of Life, which is totally not the Book of Mormon. It's completely different, I swear.
How different?
Well, see, the last word of it is life as opposed to Mormon, and that's a difference right there.
Praise Celestia, praise the sun.
Yeah, she's kind of the... They didn't mention this in the show, but it was just, kind of obvious undertones that the reason that Appaloosa went south was to, branch off and get away from this God Emperor Celestia stuff and start their own religion away from her. And she was kind of pissed at first, but as long as they don't civil war, she's fine with it. They're pretty harmless.
Or you mean like what Starlight did?
Yeah, something like that.
On the first day, we planted the apple. On the second day, we grew the apple. On the third day, we ate it, and it was delicious.
And on the 4th day, they created the
Still
sun,
fucked up.
which is kind of weird, which means the first 3 days didn't exactly be days at that point.
Days? What are days?
Also, how did the plant grow without light? Our religion
I would
is...
imply that they were still
Look,
still mooching off Celestia.
in the immortal words of the Book of Mormon, the Broadway play, not the actual book, there was some things that I just didn't quite think were right. And then I said, ignore it. I probably misquoted that horribly, but it about sums it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you basically are the law. If you think that the best way to solve this guy's drinking problem is to say, stop that, it'll fix all your problems. Or just grab the bottle away from him. Or glass him with the own bottle he's drinking from. Or just pull out your gun and shoot him right in the head on the spot. All of those are technically the correct answer, and you're still the good guys after doing any of them.
Or we can pacify the town as judgment for this one person's crime.
Yep.
All those shall suffer for this profanity.
Okay, ready. I like how some people are just
burn
heavy-handed.
down every bar.
By the way, we like
Burn
to
all
eat.
the babies. That was horrible. I hope no one is watching us. Let's find out. Oh god, one person is seeing this.
I wonder who.
That's more than 0, and I don't like that.
That may be you, Rory, if you're monitoring the stream.
No, I'm watching from my own Iron
Ah.
Broadcasting.
Ah,
Maybe.
maybe. Anyway, for that one person, welcome. And that's how Lucky killed the call.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to post a link in Roll20, which you probably have already all seen. It is basically just a cheat sheet to character creation. And in it, you should then click the other link that is character creation.
Character generation.
Yep. So, like I said, back in the journal, of up the top right, you have the journal. You should have a character sheet. In that, you can click on it, and I recommend pressing the button in the top left that'll open it up into its own screen. Let's go with Fernando.
Fernando. Who's going to be Fernando?
That is so cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Alright.
Far out.
Do what?
Open up the character sheet thing in another window.
It does that.
Known that since I saw the little button that says open in other window.
Yeah. It's not like we've had another game for 4 months now.
I think this may be my 4th or 5th campaign.
Yeah.
Rory. And it's first time
And I guarantee I've said that in every single one I've played in.
Oh, the memory of this lucky knight, whose name will be known as something else shortly.
So on this page, it has the first step, and that is selecting what lot of stats you're going to be using. Okay, the 4 core stats are Acuity, Heart, Body, and Will. And it does give a description of them right there. And no, it doesn't. That's on the other page. I'll open that one up.
Want that one?
That little bit of it, so.
That's okay. A friend of mine just decided to say that I suck donkey dong.
Don't worry,
Because
it's only
I'm
partially
not
accurate.
talking to her. Because I'm playing this instead.
That's always the correct answer. Anyway, acuity is basically your cleverness, your mental acuity. Your body is your physique, your build, your constitution. Your heart is your caring, you're talking to people, and just that kind of general stuff that I don't have in real life.
No.
And will is, I mean, kind of your attitude, your ability to push through things, withstand hardships, all that stuff. And a combination of those things are used in the 4 main conflicts, I think is what they're called. Are divided up into talking, physical, fighting, and shooting. There should be, in the link I sent you, a little diagram that shows you the one between the 2 stats is what uses them. When you talk, you use acuity and heart. When you do physical stuff, such as lifting things, building stuff, you use your heart and body. When you fight, you use your body and will, and when you use your guns, you use acuity and will. Because you don't need heart to fight. You don't need will to talk or be physical, apparently. But sure.
Fair enough.
I've also added 2 that will probably come up. That is, your heart plus will is your faith, and your acuity plus body is your perception. And in that character generation, there is a lot of 5 stats. Well, stat blocks, rather. Let's go back a second.
Well-rounded, strong history, complicated history, strong community, complicated community.
Yep. Take the well-rounded as a base one and have a look at that. The 17d6 stat dice, you could then... You take 17 dice and divide them amongst your heart, body, will, and acuity any way you want, with at least a minimum of 2 in any stat. You could absolutely max something out at 9 and then just put 2 in all the other ones. although that would probably not be a good idea. And as I was saying before, there are 6 core stats. These ones aren't so much stats, traits. They are just kind of things about yourself that make you different from others. Like, you could say, I'm a fast learner, or I can hold my breath really long, and whenever that comes up, you get to add that trait bonus to whatever you're doing. And similar with relationships, doing anything that involves someone you have a relationship with, you get to add that bonus to your roll as well. So choose from one of those 5 lots of stack blocks, the, like you said, well-rounded, strong history, complicated history, strong community, or complicated community. And just know that D4s are not good. So that complicated history is going to be an interesting one if you take it.
I'd rather be real well-rounded.
You assign like 2 D4s to a trait.
Traits, yes. Let's just start with, we'll do them in order. So first is stats, then we'll do traits, then we'll do relationships.
How many D6s do we actually have?
17 for well-rounded. It's the first thing on all the lists. So for, 17 for well-rounded, 13 for strong history, 15 for complicated history, 13 for strong history, and 15 for complicated history. But it's made up for there being less by being, better traits in history ones and better relationships in community.
Trying to think. 16. Acuity's up to... Yeah, that should work. Yeah, right. We...
So whose character sheet do I have? Whose character sheet do I have open? I have Fernando, whose name will always get pronounced like that from now on.
Fernando, which happens to be Spanish.
Fernando. You have to roll
Spanish.
the F.
Fernando.
Yes.
Happy?
Good enough.
Wait, who is Fernando anyway?
That would be
Fernando.
Rebecca, I believe, or Dawn, whichever one you want.
I'm just using one of my OCs. So he's playing the role in this game. About it is his cutie mark changes to whatever role he's acting in. So for this, he's got some sort of Western cutie mark. You can picture it yourself.
Yep. Just
Well,
a horseshoe with a gun in it.
mine happens to... You can actually see mine. Pony OC. I like it.
Well, there's the thing. On your character sheet, the top right, there is an edit button, and in that, you can choose a file to upload as your character token.
So good. I like the one I got.
You currently don't have one.
I don't have one? How
No,
is this possible?
That's... you probably set it on your Roll20 account. This is the individual character.
Rebecca, I may need to commission you.
I find that Hotel is quite good.
Rebecca did this cool, like, full-on painting for the other campaign. Oh my god, epic.
Yep.
I'm going to Google MLP Cowboy and see what comes up. Hopefully it's safe for work.
Yeah, you might want to turn safe search on. I mean, it'll come up with Brayburn, just first thing.
Oh, Brayburn, that'll do. Oh, no. This is a good one.
Oh my god, are you stealing art, Lucky?
No, it's called Donut Stealing. Sweet.
So, looking at Fernando, he, she, it has 4 acuity, 5 heart, 4 body, and 4 will. Which sounds like... No, that's 17, yep. It just seems high.
I'm just trying to figure out what I want to be able to be good at. Definitely good at magic.
Magic? What is this that you speak about?
Well, keep in mind that The only people in the show that are really good at magic are specifically their cutie mark is magic. But I feel that your characters would probably have more to do with the Book of Life being their cutie mark. Yeah, religiousness or authority or something like that.
But you know what? My character is religion, but with a gun.
I'm not saying you can't be better than average at magic. I'm just saying that you're not like Twilight Sparkle or Glim Glam levels.
Starlight Glimmer
Like
is just
Trixie
OP.
levels. Early Trixie levels.
Trixie's
How
just
many
a show pony.
traits can we have?
As many as you have dice for. You can split up the dice from... Let me have a look real fast. So let's just say you took strong history, which would give you the most dice at all. You could theoretically take each of those 3d6 and give them to one trait each. Same with the 4d8s and the 3d10s. And have 10 separate one dice traits. I don't think you can mix and match though, so you couldn't have 2d6 and 1d10 on the same trait. They would have to be the same size dice. But you can split the dice up as many ways as you want that. So you could have 2d8s in one trait, 1d8 in another, and 1d8 in third.
And I presume we will be doing those rolls
Yep.
in due course.
And same with relationships.
And for henceforth, for this campaign, Lucky Knight shall be known as Storm Chaser.
Storm Chaser.
which-
Isn't Storm Chaser? No, that's Cloud Chaser.
It's kind of pretty close to Stormbreaker, Thor's absolutely badass new weapon in the Avengers. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. I know.
But at the moment, I think Storm Chaser sounds kind of cool. But the other thing I just was thinking, it's like, if there's a storm, I'd be like, you know, like the dog from Up. Storm!
Bud, okay.
So, looks like Storm Chaser's the only one who hasn't put their stats in yet.
No.
So you going for well-rounded, or one of the other histories or communities?
Care to clarify, sir?
Well, if you clicked the 3 links I've sent, the first one is the Google Doc that just has a list of all the other links, and in that there is the third link on that right at the top, character creation. That has links you to another page that has a list of all of the stat blocks you can choose from.
Yeah. So character generation.
His other thing is he's good at acting.
Who? What? Huh? Right.
We'll do traits in a second. We'll just everyone get stats first, and then we can work from there.
Okay.
I have to assign all of my trait dice now, or can I do that later on in the game?
I would complicate it. Oh, sorry.
I would say, yeah, we'll get to traits in a second. That way we can have a go over all of them and, you know, make sure it's works.
I'm going to go for complicated history.
Alright. Complicated community would be the hard one for me, because that means I have to roleplay a lot, but histories, that's fine.
Oh, I can role play. That's not a problem. Don't ask.
Oh, don't worry. I can roleplay like that too.
You can.
Just probably shouldn't on a stream.
And this will be Dogs in the Vineyard After Dark. But then again, every time you may watch a stream, maybe after dark.
Yeah, pretty sure it's like 7 a.m. for most people watching this. It's like 4 a.m. in the US right now.
I've just been told it's dinner time, so
Okay.
I'll see if it's something I can bring back up. See you later. I'll be back soon.
In a wee bit.
Yep.
So, how do I roll
Yes.
complicated history?
Complicated history has 15 d6s. That's for your stats. You've got 1d4, 3d6s, 2d10s.
Yeah, we'll deal with the
Okay,
d6s
okay.
first. They go into stats, and you can assign them to any stat you want.
Sweet.
You basically divide them by the 4 stats any way you want, but you have to have a minimum of 2 in any stat.
Okay, 15d6. Roll.
I mean, you don't roll them, you just assign them.
Ah.
Yeah, you gotta assign.
I mean, you could just roll
okay.
15 d4s and assign them that way.
Ah, okay. So I put them into stats?
Yep.
Oh, I see. Oh, I getcha. So I split up the 15 into 4.
Yep.
Or across. Oh, okay, as I see fit. Ah, gotcha.
The exact words are, divide your stat dice amongst your 4 stats: acuity, body, heart, and will. Honestly, that doesn't describe it that well, but that's what the rules say.
I think I like big belongings, but then again, that's just me, I guess.
So my math says that you have 17 stat points, Lucky.
Yeah, I just used the calculator as well.
Well, I've got 17 as well, but then again,
He's taking the one that has more traits, though.
well-rounded, like myself.
You have 13 now,
Okay.
which means you're 2 under.
So, strong community? Strong community or strong history? Or is he going complicated?
I think he took complicated history.
That would
Okay.
be fun to all that.
Because what I wanted to do is to sharpen my sharpshooting skills.
Let me just check. Everyone has stats. That's 17. I think she took well-rounded, and so did you. Everyone has their stats done. So now let's move on to traits, and let's do... let's start with Lucky.
Yep.
So you took the complicated history, which means you have... I'm just going to copy-paste these and put them on your character sheet into
Sweet.
the notes section. Paste.
Hmm.
So your traits, you have 4d4s, 2d6, and 2d10s. You can divide those, keeping in the same dice, any way you want, to traits that you just... Basically, like most tabletop games have set perception, arcana, drawing a blank, but instead in this one you can actually just make up your own traits, and yeah, they can basically be anything you want them to be. Just
But you mean like I did?
probably. What'd you do?
So one that's 44, one that's 2d6, and one that's 2d10?
But yes, but you could also make it... You could do one that's 2d4 and 2 other 1d4s. Basically, as long as it's in the same dice size, you can divide it amongst any number of traits you want. So you could have a maximum of 8 different traits with those dice. And keep in mind that D4 traits are kind of an ironic statement about yourself. Seems it's not really good to have D4s. So it could be D4s into, I am very patient. You're just constantly tapping your foot. You've got the kind of coping mechanism with it, but, you know, on the outside, it's just kind of not true.
So, okay, D4s, they're like pretty piss poor, right?
Yep. I mean, they still have some value, but they're just not as good.
I might just go back with the...
Have pizza.
Welcome back, Tay.
And character creation.
We've assigned stats in everyone, and now we're going with traits. Like I've said before, you can assign any number of dice that you have to any number of traits as long as they're the same size. So you could split up 2d8 to be 2 separate traits of 1d8 or 1 with 2d8. And basically it's the same with relationships as well. However, I would say keep your relationship dice, just keep a note of them, don't actually spend them yet, because this setting is, like, it's a small group of religious separatists that just kind of went off and did their own thing. So the whole point of it is you would know, maybe not personally every single person, but you've probably got a family member at this town, or you've encountered this person before, and you're friends from way back. So it's more of, you should probably have some set at the start who your family, this person you know from back when, you know, they're from the town you just came from the main city where you live. But the rest of them that you leave blank are just kind of you, like, that way when you go somewhere and some character shows up, just like, I know you. You're my second cousin twice removed, once added and then removed again.
Traits, should I leave some dice free?
Yeah, not the traits. All of those have to be filled out now, but relationships should definitely be, like, maybe half your dice should go into existing ones, and maybe a third, rather, and 2/3 should stay for just kind of fill them out later. Oh, but there is one thing that I almost completely forgot to mention, and that is you have to have a trait or a relationship involving being a dog. And dogs are the name of what you guys are, the religious holy men. Enforcers. So you have to have a trait saying that I am a good dog, or being a dog is important to me, or take a relationship with the dogs saying the dogs are my family, or I would do anything for the dogs, which is probably more of a trait than a relationship. You get what I mean, though. You have to have some sort of relationship or trait with the dogs.
I put 1d10 good dog, bad dog. As opposed to good cop, bad cop.
But are you the good cop or the bad cop?
Depends.
Oh yeah, question. Do I need to separate those?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Just because, which one are you?
I think I'm going to be a bad dog. The royal guard was too warm and fuzzy for my liking.
Neutral Montreal. So defending the homeland could arguably be a dog trait, because technically the land you live in is, I mean, it's the Holy Land, and that as a dog you are defending it from itself.
Are you sure we have to defend it from itself?
You don't have to.
Outrage be a trait?
Sorry, what was that?
Religious outrage? Could that be a trait for
Yes, if something goes vastly against the Book of Life, you could absolutely just be outraged by that.
a 1d4 trait? Background for Fernando. He was major part of a traveling troupe of actors. Betrayed him, so he joined the dogs because it seemed like they're not the sort of people who betray him again.
Hell. Trying to think, and my brain is going blank.
I just saw that.
Hi.
This character sheet is version 0.0.3.
I can see that.
I should also point this out to anyone watching this. If you are a fan of the actual lore of Dogs of the Vineyard, prepare to be disappointed.
I will be disappointed because that is how I'll go.
I've given myself an Uber trait. Well, sort of Uber.
Betrayed.
Ah, yes. Fisticuffs.
Storm Strike.
Storm Strike. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I thought, well, I'm a storm chaser. I must like storms.
Are you sure you're not someone that likes chasing twisters?
Oh, Actually, you know what? That's a much better name for the trait. Twisters.
For relationships, I put one of his relationships is betrayers in the acting troupe.
Of course. Right here. What the hell?
If that ever comes up, he's got some enemies
Yeah.
or people he doesn't like.
Well, as you'll also notice in relationships, there's one that's there by default, which is blood, and that just basically means if you're ever talking to someone that you are directly related to, you just get an extra d6 on that roll, or interacting with them in any way.
Right.
Oh my God, Bob! I haven't seen you for ages. My name is. Well, my former name was Bob. You could call me Jake. Well,
I thought it became
okay.
Gene.
Now, they do say don't use up all your relationship die.
Yeah, that's in the save some for later so that you can just kind of expand on, I know this person, we were friends when we were kids, or you're my cousin's sister, which would still make you my cousin, but it's weird.
So do you want us to create different relationship options based on those
Make
dice?
Set like a third of the dice now with your family or the pastor at the church you were raised in, or the old man of the town you grew up in, but save some of them for later.
Any dodge as a trait.
Yes, you could put that as a trait.
What?
Done that. Okay. Dodge.
Dodge.
Dodge. Uncanny dodge. You're all for the boys, eh? All for the dogs.
All for the dogs.
I don't know if I can. I typed the word earth, like I've got a relationship to the earth, because gems. But as soon as I wrote it, it's like earth, fire, wind, water, heart. Oh, please don't just end up listing all the traits of Captain Planet as a relationship. You know what? For me, the show itself was, for me, pretty awful. But the thing that I loved the most was the theme song. It was so freaking catchy.
I remember the better version of it. It was called Power Rangers Nature Force.
Oh, God.
What? That was a thing?
Yeah.
Nature Force, yep.
It was the only set of Power Rangers episodes besides the White Ranger original story arc during the whole stream they did on Twitch last year. It's the only ones that I watched. I'm pretty sure you can just throw any descriptive acronym at the end of Power Rangers and it's a series.
Yeah.
Power Rangers Steampunk Detectives.
I would sort of watch that show.
Right, I can't think of anything more for relationships.
Well, like I said, you don't have to fill them all out now. You can just kind of, as we go, just, have a look at the story, what fits, and then just add them then.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly. If I can remember them at the time. I mean, I could see what's in my belongings, because that's what you put in there.
Let's skip over that and get down to belongings. Now, you can basically say, I have anything that, that you would realistically have as a cowboy, but don't worry about stuff like water or food. We'll just assume you have. If it's mundane stuff, don't worry about that. But there are at least 5 things that you have. The first one is your coat, which is arguably your most important one to you, because when you became a dog, all of your friends and family and loved ones and the whole community you're from came together and stitched you up a handmade coat, and it's just got patches on it that symbolize this thing about you and this about the community you're from and this about your family, and it is your badge as a dog. It shows that you are a dog. It is your most prized possession above anything. You also have a copy of the Book of Life, a small jar of consecrated earth from where where the King of Life touched down onto terra firma, a gun, And it also
Terra
says you
firma?
have a horse, but I'm going to assume that you are the horse in this situation. Terra firma is the capital city, which is where the King of Life touched down and created ever-blooming field. Or something like that.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
gonna...
my guy has a dagger. Because I put in traits stabby stabby dagger.
Oh God, you kind of remind me of my mother.
Can I have a 2-barrel shotgun?
Yes.
Sweet. So
Now,
I'm
let's
putting all
just
this into belongings.
go with the description of things. When you're using an item for its normal intended purpose, it's a D6. If you're using it during a roll, you just get an extra D6 from having that item. If you're using it for something other than its intended purpose, like you're using a bale of hay as a ladder, then you add a D4. If the thing is... This mostly applies to your possessions that you have now, but if the thing is big, it's a D8 instead of a D6. If it's high quality, it's 2d6, and if it's big and high quality, it's 2d8. If it's crappy, it's a d4, and all guns just have a d4 additional to them, because when you get out your gun, it just kind of gets complicated, and that's why the extra d4 is added.
Complicated? How could it become complicated?
And in the case, I see what you're saying. Like, for example, I decided to use my 2-barrel shotgun, and use it to
Well, I would say that
handle.
a 2-barrel shotgun would be big, so that's definitely a
Oh, yeah.
D8.
Yeah, that's definitely a D8.
For
Of
example,
course, you
if, like,
can absolutely just power game this and say, all of my things are big and high quality, that's 2d8. But don't be
Yep.
that guy. No one likes that guy.
I won't be that guy.
Nobody likes a freaking little show pony.
Rope ladder. Can I have that?
Yes.
Because it's convenient. I'm thinking about a lasso, but I don't want to have.
So anyway, I've put in your notes, just down the bottom of your character sheet in your notes, I've put all of these things. Oh wait, no, there's a belongings tab. I should put it there.
Yeah. I have put them there.
My guy's gonna have just a bag of props. Because he's good at acting and he's come from an acting troupe.
That would be a big item, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be. Oops.
So the coat is an actual coat?
Yeah, it's a physical coat. It's
one day.
Just think of a scout's sash, where it's just got patches that represent what you've done and what you've accomplished all over it from, and it's incredibly important to you. And you should also give it a description, because it is like I said, it's very important to your character.
A coat is made up of the huge marks of every person I've killed.
I mean, that is technically a thing you could do.
Is it okay to say my coat is a dryzer bone? I'll take the silence as consent.
That's
About my coat, because I'm going to make it that he sort of just left his troop after they betrayed him. I'm not sure how they betrayed him yet. Or did. So,
Mine's a dryzer bone
if
with
you really have fun, have a really nice coat.
I've got a dryzer bone with embroidered elements from lovers and allies, from past lovers and allies.
Well, you should write that in the description of it.
Yep, that's what I've just done. All my conquests have awarded me with some
black
kind of
coat,
embroidery.
and he's pick up cool things on the way. Gress.
Yay.
And I'm putting as a note, I have a Nathan Fillion vibe.
You have a what? Right, okay, yep, no worries.
Long live Firefly, rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace, Firefly. And Castle.
Oh, did they finish that?
Yeah, they finished that. Which is quite sad. They wrapped that up rather quickly.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
with a wedding or?
Um, I didn't really finish watching Castle. It just went weird.
So my traits are 44 bad dog, 1d6 accuracy, 1d6 sex appeal, 1d10 fisticuffs, and 1d10 storm strike.
Why? Uh, I, I'm kind of. Uh,
He does hand to hand, right? But this is extra gentlemanly sort of style.
I see where you put the extra die, and
Oh, that's to
I don't
allocate
have
dies.
to- technically I should have like
Now,
1d6 remaining,
yeah, I've just put them down in notes.
Oh, cheers.
and I changed that to a short broadsword.
Because swords are cool.
No, I just like the swords. I like that and a freaking shield, but if I have a tower shield, I'd have to get a freaking.
Keep in mind, this is more of a westerny thing, and shields don't exactly like that's knights and cowboys at that point. I mean, you can absolutely do it, but you know. So you are required to have a book of life and a small jar of dirt.
Yeah.
But you aren't necessarily required to have a gun. So if you don't want that, you don't have to. But I
Yeah,
highly
what if you have
suspect
a
everyone
wall?
wants a gun.
I don't want a
But-
gun. I want something that I can see people with as I slash them to bits.
Well, you can have a sword instead of a gun.
Damn
Yeah.
straight.
And
Fernando's
Okay.
got his big black coat. Place he visits, he's going to take just a small bit of fabric from like curtain or blanket or something and just sew it on so he can have a really nice colourful coat.
So it's not really...
Eventually.
Your coat is not so much a symbol of where you came from, but where you've been.
Mine.
No, Fernando's.
Ah.
And yeah, story of where he's been.
So has everyone figured out what items they have? And let's see, stats, traits, half the relationships, and your items.
Hmm. What?
It's a lot of guns.
Guns, lots of guns. Of course.
one of us looks absolutely awesome. Do I need to do a die allocation for my handgun?
No,
Yep.
the only thing that needs to be marked if it's big, high quality, big and high quality, or crappy. Because otherwise it's just a
okay.
D6.
Ah, cool. Okay.
So
Yeah.
the 2-barrel shotgun definitely sounds like it's at least big.
Yeah, it's big.
I think that's
Um,
why he was changing it to a was it?
Oh, that came out pretty lewd.
Yeah, and things like ammo, food, water,
Yeah.
we're just going to assume that you have that. This isn't going to be a,
Yeah.
you walk through the desert for 78 days, how do you survive?
I have a canteen that gives me an infinite supply of pony water. Don't ask me how.
As opposed to regular water.
Well, yeah, it's pony water, which just refills again and again.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's amazing what you can find. That's not a bad picture for just a quick Google search. Like, yeah,
And that's Brayburn.
yeah, and he's badass for once.
And he's got a shotgun.
He's got a shotgun.
Mm.
It's Fernando.
So- nice.
You know what? With that blue streak mane, and of course with red eyes. Yep, I'm seeing all that.
A ship pony between my pony and Vinyl Scratch.
I just figured about. Well, I actually added another actor for reference for myself for my character sheet. There's this guy, an actor from the 70s called Charles Bronson. He was very dry and very kind of badass. And it's funny, my brand of new shoes are Bronsons. Without even thinking, the guy at work says, "Is that like Charles Bronson from the 70s?" Mate, I was like, I chose the right shoe. You know what? I'll go for the triple red. I'll even add Burt Reynolds. Because why not? I'm sure for those who are going to be watching later on, you got to do some Googling because you won't have any idea who they are. And it's a miracle that I actually know these people. They're old.
I
but-
know them, but hey, whatever.
Oh, yay!
You're both old.
I mean, yay.
Just get out
Have to
my
be
own
done.
gun here. And...
Courtesy Fluttershy, yay.
Hmm.
The
Don't
other,
ask.
only other thing Fernando has, he's got a sewing kit and a book of spells, but it's kind of falling apart. So
Why does it make me think of Oleander? Yes, I happen to have that game. Them's fighting herds.
You know, I backed their game and I've played it a little bit. And I think I've lost interest. You know, I've decided to change from Storm Strike to Earth Strike.
Okay.
Because I'm a dog and I come from the underground, so channeling some kind of tremor-like ability. But I can still be called Storm Chaser because I have worked out my character. I'll be curious to understand what Fallout is.
So everyone's got their items sorted.
I
Hmm.
believe so.
Close enough
I think
to.
my items are done.
Put up, put up, put up, put up, put up. Hey, lots of-
I'm just
Hey,
looking
yeah.
at your traits and having a good laugh.
Yeah, I'm hearing bleeps, a lot of bleeps. Maybe
It's
that's
just
it. Oh, no.
self-censoring.
Oh, that's
Diary
me.
dogs.
That's me because I've got how many groups am I in on Discord? 1, 2, 3. Woo! 24 servers.
Pretty sure that's most of character creation.